All right, let's jump right in. If you're part of an engineering, quality, or reliability team, you know this struggle all too well. Your data is, well, it's everywhere. The critical information you need is scattered, and by the time you manage to piece it all together, it's already out of date. It's time for a totally new way of looking at this problem. Does this feel familiar? It's that sinking feeling, right? You're drowning, constantly switching between different Excel files, shared drives, and old school systems, just trying to get one clear picture of your product's risk. And look, this isn't just inefficient. It's a huge source of friction and a massive risk for any team. So, to really appreciate the solution, we first have to get honest about the problem. Let's take a closer look at what we're calling the old way of managing reliability engineering. These frustrations are pretty much universal, aren't they? You've got your FMEs, these super important risk documents, and they're just scattered across a dozen folders with file names like final_v2 revised. Then a warranty issue pops up from the field. Trying to trace that back to an original design decision, it's like a massive forensic investigation. And for those big gate reviews, you're spending days, maybe weeks, manually pulling data, building slide decks, all while knowing the info is stale the second you hit save. And maybe the scariest part, the most critical knowledge often lives in one person's Excel workbook on their desktop. That's a huge single point of failure. So we have to move from this old way to a new way. And this isn't just about a small upgrade. It's a fundamental change in how we think. We need to go from a process that's fragmented, reactive, and full of errors, one that relies on static documents, to a system that is unified, proactive, data-driven, and truly living. So how do we actually make that leap? Well, that brings us to the solution, this whole concept of a living reliability system. Okay, so what does that really mean, a living reliability system? In simple terms, it means your understanding of product risk is always, and I mean always, up to date. This isn't some report you generate once a quarter. It's a live, real-time view that connects what you designed, what you tested, and what's actually happening out there in the real world. And this is the platform that really makes this concept a reality. AutoGain is specifically designed to take that whole mess of disconnected data and transform it into that single, coherent, living system that we're talking about. But how does it actually do that? Well, the key here is using AI, but not to replace engineers, not at all. It's about acting as a powerful force multiplier, basically giving them superpowers. It gets rid of the tedious busy work so they can focus on what they do best, actual engineering. Okay, let's make this real. Here's a classic high-stakes scenario that probably keeps design teams up at night. Your supply chain hits a snag, and you have to substitute a critical component. What now? What are all the ripple effects on reliability? In the old world, this meant days of manual digging through FMEAs and old test plans with a really high chance of missing something critical. With an AI assistant that's built right into your data, you just ask it the question. And in seconds, you get a clear summary of any new risks you've introduced or tests that you now have to redo. This isn't just about saving time. It's about making better, safer decisions way, way faster. All right, here's another familiar headache. You're working on a new product, and the team has just brainstormed hundreds, maybe thousands, of potential failure modes in an FMEA. You're staring at this massive list. Where do you even begin? The old way is you buried in a giant spreadsheet, manually calculating and sorting RPNs. It's slow, and honestly, it's easy to make a mistake. But with an AI assistant, the system instantly flags the top risks for you. It might highlight something like brake fluid leaks due to seal degradation with a risk priority number of 320. That immediately tells your team exactly where to focus, letting you make proactive design improvements instead of just reacting to problems later on. This kind of intelligence goes way beyond just single tasks. The real power here is in creating a single thread of truth that connects the entire engineering lifecycle from start to finish. We hear the word traceability all the time, but it's absolutely the holy grail. Why? Because it's your ability to prove, especially when an auditor is breathing down your neck, that every single requirement has been thought about, analyzed for risk, and properly tested. So here's how that actually works. It starts with a customer requirement, something simple like the device must operate for more than 24 hours. Okay. That requirement is then directly linked to a risk you identified in your FMEA, like the battery might drain prematurely. That risk is then linked to a specific test in your verification plan. So when an auditor asks for proof, you don't spend a week digging for documents. You generate a report instantly with all of those links perfectly intact. And this is how you finally close that loop. You make sure that the real-world data, the issues that are actually happening out in the field, don't just become support tickets that get forgotten. They become direct inputs that inform and improve the next generation of your products. When you put all this together, it leads to the ultimate goal here, a fundamental shift away from static analysis and towards a culture of continuous learning. This really sums up the whole shift. We're moving away from thinking about reliability as a one-time thing, a static document you create for a gate review. Instead, it becomes this ongoing process, a living system where the whole organization learns and gets better every single day. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The goal isn't just to pass the next review. The goal is to build a system that gets smarter with every single product you design, test, and ship. So what does a system that learns actually do? It means your risk profile updates in real time as you make changes. It means that issues found out in the field feed directly back into future designs. The lessons you learned the hard way on one project don't just disappear. They become part of a knowledge base for the next program. And maybe most importantly, everyone, from design to quality to management, is looking at the exact same up-to-the-minute picture of risk. So we'll leave you with this thought to chew on. All of your engineering data, your design files, your test results, your field data, it's all telling a story about your product's reliability. The real question is, do you have the right system in place to actually hear it?